If you're anything like me, you've been wanting to get around the LEGO Fortnite world a little bit quicker. So I tried to create a vehicle, but man, did it turn out to be bad. So I'm going to show you guys a little bit of what I learned when I was building my party barge. And if you're doing this, good luck. It is not easy. So watch along and try to avoid the mistakes I made. And here are the materials I used in this build, which I got from a YouTuber called Karotza AU. I'll put their channel in the description. They did a good job, I think. And so when I started building, everything was going according to plan. I was following the guide set by the YouTuber, and I must say, using these buttons to nudge and snap mode, vitally important when building. We're getting to the main part of the build, which is the thrusters that will turn it left and right. And everything seemed pretty normal. Everything was great. So looking forward to it. So these blocks are supposed to fall like this. And they didn't fall exactly right, so I had to try to push it around. And anyone who plays on computer rather than with a remote, check this out. I pushed it, and you can't go slow on the computer, and it broke the thing off the switch. But then this happened. The orientation was all off. I didn't understand that, and I couldn't place the switch. So I just moved on to the next one because that was weird. I didn't know why the orientation was off and why I couldn't place it. This one falls, and again, it doesn't land quite perfectly, so I try to push it, and then this happens. My character just Hulk smashes it out of the way, and then I notice the switch. It's right here. It didn't break, it disappeared. But then when I clicked it, it moved back, so that was a strange glitch that happened. And then boom! When you're walking around and with the computer, for some reason, your character tends to grab things without you wanting it to. So I struggled to actually get a hold of this thing and move it into place. I thought if I could push it around, it just made me so upset. So I just pushed it off and tried to start over again. But that's when I ran into even more problems. So, you know, going back to the thing, using these, and I hit it, thing's supposed to drop. What in the world? It just crumbles to pieces. And I'm like, what is going on? Again, over and over again. And it was kind of embarrassing how long I continued to do this, not fully understanding why. And I realized after editing this video, you know, it doesn't matter what material, doesn't matter anything that you use, it's actually just because of the activation switch is supposed to be on it. But look at this. I tell you guys, this is cursed. I don't understand what happened here. It started to levitate. I was kind of blown away. Like, why is this happening to me? So, just bizarre. Floating in midair. Don't know why that happened. Just incredible. So, again, trying to make this work, and does it again and over again. This glitch keeps happening. So I just place it down thinking everything will be okay. Well, not everything was going to be okay, but you'll see here in a second. I'm trying to place the thrusters because I just want to get to testing this and see if this actually works. And I have to say, it is vitally important before you get too far ahead of yourself. You absolutely need to be testing your things. So test, test, test. Right, left. So for all intents and purposes, this seems like the thrusters are working independently. It looks great. I got the little things on top to make it so that the blocks wouldn't fly away. At least that's what I learned from watching the video. And what's really great about this build is like it's a barge, right? So you can have a lot of storage. You can have some crafting tables. And of course, as you all know, the joys of the rain, nighttime. It gets really frustrating when you're building because then you have all these people attacking you. And so being rushed I tried to place all this stuff, and I tried to get it into the air because I didn't want to keep being attacked by these skeletons. But this was a bit premature, because as you will see in just a moment, I put all of the crafting benches in the wrong place. So I didn't leave an edge free to put the balloons. We were slowly lifting into the air, and it just complicated things, to say the least. So I just place some of these balloons. I keep falling to the ground. It's kind of annoying. But what I will say is building in the air is not recommended. This makes it a lot more difficult. Things get dropped. You fall. You have to constantly rebalance things, which is why I'm like putting all these balloons everywhere. It's a pain in the butt. So do not do what I'm doing here, but this is why I think building is cursed in LEGO Fortnite. So had to do some maneuvering, and wouldn't you know it, I hit the dynamic plate, and that just really made me mad. So having to rebuild in the air, like I said, painful experience. I probably should have stopped, but I didn't. I kept going. So, and then of course, my plane started to sink. Everything's so heavy, and for some reason I lost all of my stamina. And don't know why that happens. I don't know if it's because of the elevation. I don't know if it was because of a glitch. But very strange to completely run out of stamina. And so this is where I deviated from the original plan. And of course, like I said, important to test, because look at this. I added a thruster here to try to go down, but for some reason the right thruster and the back thrusters were connected, and it's because I placed the block onto the dynamic plate. And this is just where it gets all sort of screwy. So, testing. It's like, it's working, it's moving forward. I could also use the left to kind of like steer it around. Not the worst, but I definitely know that the thruster, when it's attached to the foundation in the back to try to push it down, it's not going to work. So I tried to make something else. I tried to disconnect and do the little drop down trick as we did in the thrusters at the beginning, but that just complicated things. And I fiddly farted around with this thing, and it was so annoying. And then ultimately, it didn't work. It still engaged all the other thrusters. It was going to break the whole ship, so I had to decide something else. So I saw on the video that you could use these blocks, and boy does it fall fast when you do that. So it's really not recommended. And I threw it, and I broke the table. So frustrating. So at this point, it's been like a half hour of building. I'm like, I've already come this far. I have to try to figure this out. When in reality, I should have just started from scratch. And so in my attempts to try to bring it down to the ground, I was trying to weigh it down with these foundations. I didn't want it to break apart when it landed, so I put on the wheels, but it was not coming down. These balloons were way too effective at lifting it up. So I don't know why I have to meddle. Maybe building isn't cursed, maybe I'm cursed. Because I tried to redo these things in the air, and I hit the thruster, which inevitably this had to happen because it was still attached to the dynamic plate. But warning to you all, do not build in the air. It is much more efficient because stuff like this happens. We are crashing to the ground. Not only am I crashing to the ground, there's a brute below me. My whole thing is coming down, and I'm just like waiting for this pile to meet an end at the floor, but I save it last minute and trying to place some things. Woof! You've got to be kidding me. Threw my launcher into the air. Couldn't have planned it if I tried. So, here I am, thrusterless, no more turning available. And of course, I keep forgetting that I have to put the switch onto the foundation to make this work. If you don't put the switch on it before you hit the supporting beam, it just breaks down. But then this happened. I was like, what? And the two foundations here were connected. So just working on this, and like I said, it is so frustrating to build when you are in the air. So many things go wrong, all the balancing is off. I kept falling to the floor or the ground, having to fly back up. It is not advised. And then I noticed that they were stuck together, so I had to bust one off, and then that happens. Guys, I don't know why it's just me. If it's not me, say so in the comments, but I put that plank railing too close and it busted off the activation switch in the thrusters. So annoying. And then this happens. The switch is still activating the thrusters, even though it shouldn't be doing that. It should not be attached. And so I just kind of cruised around and I decided to give up. So I completely cleared everything and I was going to crash it to the ground. Just a tragic end, really. And so I quit. But I was determined. I was like, okay, maybe I could just really quickly bump this out. I want to get a tutorial video out ASAP. I want to make some improvements to this base model. And so I decided, all right, I'm going to try to build this as quickly as possible. I'm going to try to figure out why these glitches keep happening. And so, again, still could not figure out why in the moment. And it was late, guys. I mean, this was about midnight, I would say. I still couldn't figure it out. Until I finally realized, you know, it's probably because there's something not attached. So I put the activation switches back on it and figured out that that was the main reason. Right here is finally my aha moment. Because you put the stuff on, which, by the way, I do not recommend to put the these thrusters on, because what happens is they could fall off when you bring the wooden block down, like so. They actually did fall in place and everything was good. But yeah, it works because you have stuff on it. That is the glitch. You can't just have the foundation, you have to put something on it. And so I'd already spent this much time, and this stupid skeleton decides to come out at night. All these skeletons start to get my rage out. And then this glitch happens. In the video, it says to mine the gap. And I just figured out what was going wrong with dropping the foundation. So this was frustrating. I built the plank railing too close, destroying my foundations. Urgh. So it seriously ticked me off. And so I took my rage out on some skeletons and tried again. Guys, it is embarrassing how many times I did this. So please avoid frustration. Put just the activation switch. I would not include the thrusters because, as you can see here, one of the thrusters broke off. If you just have the activation switch on top and you bring down you take away the support beam, it's all you need. That's how you get this glitch to work for you. And then, of course, it's painstaking. Do you see that? The thruster came back out of nowhere. I couldn't place it because it was actually just hidden. It wasn't that it fell off. But mine the gap. Do not build close. Have a space, and it doesn't break your stuff. Good grief, guys, I can't tell you just how many times I just couldn't figure it out. It was just really, really frustrating, so I hope you don't have the same experience as I did. And again, any time that you can get out of the rain or get out of nighttime, I definitely recommend, and make sure you test, because it's so frustrating when everything breaks and then you're in the air. So build everything on the ground, because when stuff like this happens and you have to fix it, it's way easier to do on the ground. And so I still haven't figured out what exactly happened there. I don't know why the rustic floor, the thin floor, was breaking. But again, testing, vitally important. And for some reason, in the building of this, the two foundations were stuck together, and so the turning would not have worked out. So testing, testing, testing is your friend. And then realizing there's a certain order of operation, because if you don't put the planks on top, this could happen to you. Oh, you guys, it was rough. Like I said, this was rough, rough, rough to build. This kept breaking, which I didn't fully understand why. So at this point in the tutorial that I was attempting to make, I decided to call it quits, and I did figure out how to build this structure successfully. So watch that next video here, and thank you guys so much for watching. See you in the next one.